When you hear the name Nintendo, what's the first thing you think of? For most of us, it's Mario. It's Zelda. It's the console you begged your parents for as a kid. But what if I told you that's not even close to the real story? That the real story of Nintendo isn't about video games. It's about survival. It's a wild tale of risk, reinvention, and pure resilience that goes back over 130 years. To really get a handle on where Nintendo is today, you have to start with this number: 5.9 billion. That's how many games they've sold worldwide. It's an absolutely staggering number that has made them one of the most powerful companies in Japan. But the road to get here? It was anything but a straight line. To find out where it all really began, we've got to rewind the clock. So let's go past the Switch, way past the NES, keep going past a short-lived venture into toys in the 60s, all the way back. The year is 1889. We're in Kyoto, Japan, and it all starts with a small family business making handmade playing cards. Now this is where the story gets really interesting. See, Nintendo's early business wasn't just fun and games. Their Hanafuda cards, or flower cards, became incredibly popular right after the Japanese government banned almost all forms of gambling. The one loophole? Hanafuda. And guess who Nintendo's biggest customers were? The Yakuza, who ran all the illegal gambling parlors. While other companies ran scared, Nintendo leaned in and dominated the market. Okay, let's fast forward to the late 1970s. Nintendo decides to bet big on America, trying to break into the booming arcade scene. But their first major game, Radar Scope, was a complete and utter flop. Picture this: a silent, dusty warehouse in Washington, filled with thousands of brand new, unsold arcade machines. A monument to a colossal failure. The man in charge of the American division, Minoru Arakawa, was in full-blown panic mode. I mean, can you imagine? He had gambled the entire company's future on this one game. And now, his American dream was collapsing into a financial nightmare. Nintendo of America was right on the brink of going bust. Arakawa makes a desperate call back to headquarters in Japan. He's pleading for a new game, anything that they can cram into these thousands of useless cabinets to save the company. But there's a problem. All of Nintendo's top engineers, their star programmers, they're all tied up on other projects. So, with the clock ticking, who do they send to save the day? They sent a young industrial designer named Shigeru Miyamoto. He wasn't a programmer, he wasn't an engineer, he was an artist. He basically got the assignment because, well, literally nobody else was available. The entire future of Nintendo in America rested on an unproven rookie who had this strange idea about a giant ape, a carpenter, and some rolling barrels. That strange idea became Donkey Kong. They rushed conversion kits to America, ripped the guts out of all those failed Radar Scope machines, and installed the new game. The result? A smash hit that pulled in over $280 million in its first 2 years. It didn't just make a profit. It was a miracle that single-handedly saved Nintendo of America and built the foundation for everything that was to come. So, with the massive success of Donkey Kong, Nintendo now had its sights set on an even bigger prize: conquering the American home console market. The only problem? They weren't just entering a market. They were walking into a wasteland that they would have to resurrect from the dead. To really appreciate the genius of what Nintendo did next, you have to understand the great video game crash of '83. Basically, the market leader, Atari, had allowed so many terrible, broken games to flood store shelves that consumers just completely lost faith. Retailers refused to stock video games. The entire concept had become toxic. So, Nintendo's strategy was brilliant. In Japan, their console was a bright red and white, toy-looking thing called the Famicom. They knew that would never fly in America, so they disguised it. They created the Nintendo Entertainment System, a boring gray box that looked just like a VCR. They didn't even call it a video game console. No, it was an entertainment system. It was a Trojan horse, designed to sneak video games back into American living rooms. And to make sure the crash never happened again, they created the Nintendo Seal of Quality. This wasn't just a marketing gimmick. It was a promise backed up by an iron fist. They told other developers, you want to make games for a system? You play by our rules. And their rules were ruthless. Through this intense quality control, Nintendo almost single-handedly rebuilt an entire industry from the ashes. As time went on, Nintendo faced a new kind of enemy. Competitors like Sega and later Sony were all about raw power. better graphics, faster processors, Nintendo found itself stuck in a technological arms race that it knew it couldn't win. So, they decided to stop playing that game altogether. And look, by the early 2000s, it was clear their old strategy wasn't working. The GameCube was a great little console, but it was being absolutely crushed by its more powerful rivals. This led to a devastating moment. For the first time since going public, Nintendo actually lost money. Something had to change, and fast. The answer was a philosophy they called the Blue Ocean Strategy. The idea is simple. Instead of fighting all your rivals in a bloody red ocean of competition, you find a calm, clear blue ocean, a brand new market where you're the only one there. The goal was to stop trying to beat the competition and instead just make them irrelevant. And that new thinking led directly to the Nintendo Wii. I mean, with its simple motion controls, it was a complete revolution. It sold over 101 million units, making it the best-selling console of its generation. It wasn't just for hardcore gamers, it was for everybody, for families, for grandparents, for people who had never held a controller before. Nintendo had found its blue ocean. So this brings us to the modern era, and if there's one thing the Nintendo story has shown us again and again, it's that the company's oldest lesson, resilience, is still its most important. Because for every massive success, there's usually a spectacular failure waiting just around the corner. And right after the incredible high of the Wii came the Wii U. And oh, it was a commercial disaster. The marketing was confusing, the design was clunky, and it became Nintendo's worst-selling home console ever. It really felt like they had completely lost their way again. But here's the thing about Nintendo. They always learn from their mistakes. Because hidden inside that Wii U failure was a brilliant idea. The ability to play on your TV or on a handheld screen. So they took that lesson, they refined it, they perfected it, and they created the Nintendo Switch, a hybrid console that became one of the best-selling of all time. You know, this whole approach is baked right into Nintendo's DNA. Way before the Switch, a legendary designer named Gunpei Yokoi created the Game & Watch handhelds. His philosophy was something he called lateral thinking with withered technology. It just means using cheap, proven, old tech, withered tech in new and creative ways. He saw a guy on a train playing with a calculator and got inspired. That exact same spirit is what gives Nintendo its magic. So after all this, after 130 years of incredible highs and devastating lows, what does it all mean? From playing cards tied to the criminal underworld to a near bankruptcy saved by a young artist. From rebuilding an industry to constantly redefining it. Nintendo's story was never really about technology. It's about resilience. It's about creativity. And it proves that the most powerful ideas don't come from the most powerful hardware, but from a profoundly different way of seeing the world.